Hello and welcome to Agastya Valipadu. Reading from the book Agastya, the Siddha Principles. Last week, we were talking about the different stages of meditation. Appa was talking about, where to sit, how to place your hands, basically asana, mudra, and then he was talking about the breathing technique, which is pranayama, then pratyahara, which is letting go of all outside senses, and then dharana, which is becoming concentrated in one place, and then dhyana, which is meditation. So there are a whole bunch of steps before we actually go into meditation, and then comes samadhi, which is when you actually connect to a higher level, the higher consciousness. So we stopped off at that, and Appa had made reference to the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. And in that, there are two basic steps that Appa doesn't talk about when he was talking about the actual meditation practice. The basic thing that Patanjali talks about is yama and niyama. Yama is what you shouldn't do as a spiritual aspirant, and niyama is what you should do, the discipline. But the reason Appa doesn't talk about that is because Valipadu is based on that. He says a spiritual aspirant must have knowledge of everything. Once you have knowledge of why we are born, what causes karma, what causes us to have rebirth, what causes suffering, once we know all this, then yama and niyama become a part of our life without us even thinking about it. Because one who has wisdom or knowledge then walks on the path of righteousness. There is no other way a spiritual aspirant can be, because knowledge is the basis before anybody can walk on the path of the spiritual practices like doing meditation and other things. Because without knowing these basic things, if you sit down and meditate, a lot of different things that could happen, which could actually be detrimental to you if you do not understand how energy flows, what happens when it goes up, and what happens if there is no cleanliness in the areas we are going to be talking about much later, maybe next week, because today we are going to actually start with the idea of energy fields. Because as Appa says, a spiritual aspirant is one step above the common man, in that he's aware that the entire universe is made of energy vibrating on different frequencies. This is something we have talked about over and over. And here Appa is again telling us that, because we must understand whether it is the gross body that we see, which what we touch, we feel, everything is made of energy. It is just energy vibrating at different frequencies. The higher and purer energy is what we are trying to connect to, because at this point we are vibrating at a much lower level. That is why we are able to see each other, perceive this created world as real. So if you think about the whole idea of energy, and if you go a little further, you can easily understand what liberation actually means. So if you look at all these sci-fi movies where they talk about, somebody just beaming themselves to another dimension, that is based on the concept of energy. I mean, though they use, technology, but a person who understands energy is a siddha. Because once you know energy, then you can manipulate everything. Like Christ said in the Bible, it's quoted, the things I can do, you can do much more than that if you know what God is, what energy is. So let us continue and see what Appa is saying. So before even beginning meditation, we must understand why we are here, what is the purpose of our life, what is karma, what is suffering. And then we have to understand that this is what we need to do in terms of being righteous and doing the right things and having discipline, the way we eat, the way we sit, the way we behave. And after only that, that's when we start understanding the higher aspects of life, which is basically understanding how energy affects every single thing in the universe. So Appa says, first of all, I would like to tell you today in this house, and he was talking about Gajaraj Swamigal's house, lots of good things are happening. My work has started. You have transformed a person. That is important. Healing is a temporary process of restoring the balance in the body, but transformation brings change at its very source. It touches the mind in addition to the body. Now, here, Appa's beginning the entire discourse on energy, touching upon what Gajaraj Swamigal used to do. See, Gajaraj Swamigal was a pranic healer. He had learned how to, heal people using cosmic energy. That is what Brother Ramachandran, who is in a group, knows so very well. And he actually healed me when I had kidney stones, and I didn't have to go through a surgery. It just the kidney stones were just blasted because of his healing. So Gajaraj Swamigal used to heal people also, but he also used to transform people. How did he do that? He used to talk to them. He used to listen to what they had problems. He used to guide them. And because of his words, people used to change their behaviors, change their lifestyle. And that is what Agastya is saying. Healing is temporary. It's for the body. It's important. It's for the body. But more important then is transformation. Because once you transform a person, actually address the very root of the problem. Say, for example, it's something connected with the stomach. So when you tell the person, okay, if you eat in excess, this is what's going to happen. If you eat this kind of foods, this is what's going to happen. And the person understands that food is not something that you just put it in your mouth, but it has something more. It has energy. Everything depends on who cooks it, how you eat it, what kind of mindset is there, because a person who is very angry and is cooking is putting the negative thoughts into the food, and that's going to affect you. If you're eating the food and in an angry state, that is not going to help with the energy, because whatever we need is energy, and we are getting energy through food. So when you know that, okay, these are the things that affect me, and you change your behavior, then the transformation takes place. Then health replaces disease. And that is what Appa is talking about. So he says, transformation touches the mind in addition to the body. It helps connect both of them so that the mind tells the body, don't do this because this is the bad effect. So he continues. I'm also happy that a very nice person is asking a question on energy fields. Now, he is referring to a devotee who came and asked the questions, but unfortunately, we did not write down the name of the devotee, so we don't know who did, but it was somebody who knew about energy fields, who wanted to know more about energy fields, and that is what led to this discourse. You see, the existence of energy fields is one thing. Visualizing them is another thing. There cannot be differences in the types of energy fields in the human body. The truth is the same. A person who visualizes these either through intuition or clairvoyance interprets it in his own way. So Appa is very clearly saying, different people say different things about energy in the human body. They say, oh, this looks like that, but Appa says there cannot be differences. Energy fields are the same. It's the way the people who see it or understand it, either through intuition or clairvoyance, how they interpret it and express it is different. Then he explains further. He says, let me explain further. The truth about the existence of God is the same, but he has been visualized and expressed in different ways. That is, with form or without form. In other words, Dvaitha or Advaitha philosophy. The truth about energy fields remains the same, but interpretation differs. So now he is giving a bigger example, which is understanding God. So we have two main philosophies. It doesn't matter which religion you belong to. Some religions believe in the formless God, and some religions believe in the God with form. But it is the same God. This is the one universe. We are all one humanity. This is all the same energy. So how can God be different? That is why religion, when people fight in the name of religion, it does not make sense. How can you fight about the same energy just because you perceive it in a different way? So, as spiritual aspirants, one of the first things that we need to learn is not to differentiate. We cannot say my religion is better than your religion, my path is better than your path, that God, my God is better than your God. There's only one God. And if you do not understand that, then you're not even beginning the path of spiritual realization at all. So, unless you learn this, unless you understand this is one universe created by one God, and that God is in you, and if you go a little further and realize that it is all energy, and it is just a matter of changing the frequency of your energy to realize that you are one with the absolute, then the whole universe is in you. If you look at some of the Puranas, that is why we have the stories in the Puranas. We have Krishna showing the world, the universe to his mother Yashoda through his mouth. What is it? It's not just about Krishna and Yashoda and about showing a miracle. It is the truth. The universe is in you because you are the microcosm of the macrocosm. Everything that is contained in the ocean is contained also the essence in the drop of water of the ocean. So a person who's able to understand energy at a higher level is already well into the path of realization. So let's continue and see what Appa says. Why then are there variations of expressing a truth by different highly evolved people? He's saying not just anybody, highly evolved people are showing differences. Why? You see, when I'm talking through my disciple here, and he's talking about Gajaraj-Swamigal, it is not 100% me speaking, but there should be a base. The knowledge he has about a topic is the base. Further, interpretations, corrections, elaborations, and modifications are mine. So it is, he says, highly evolved people may say the same thing, but in a different way. Why is that? Because how each person interprets and expresses is different, but truth is essentially the same. And now he's saying, Gajaraj-Swamigal is speaking, but it is not 100% me, because me in the sense Agastya, because the basic, Gajaraj-Swamigal already has the basic knowledge. And what Appa Agastya is doing is just adding to that and expressing it more beautifully than Gajaraj-Swamigal could ever do in his real life. So that is why you hear these great truths coming out of Gajaraj-Swamigal's mouth, which is not his knowledge, but the knowledge that Appa Agastya is transferring through him. Then he continues. You all know an established truth, that is, the human sharira or the body is formed of gross body, mind, and soul. I have already given a big discourse on this topic. Recollect it later. So if anybody is interested in this, we will go over that discourse much later. But right now, since we're dealing with energy fields, we will continue. But the soul, when we talk about the soul, are we talking about just a little speck inside? No. The soul is the body. The body, mind, and the soul are all one. One cannot exist without the other. As long as we're born and manifested in this world, the soul needs the body to express, or the mind. Once we, let go of this body, the soul still continues with the etheric, with the, in the astral level, and then comes back assuming another body. So that's how it continues. But when you're talking about the soul, which is a manifested body, then the whole thing, the body, mind, and soul is one unit. The body which you call the gross body or the stula sharira, what is it? He's saying, okay, what is your body? Understand that first. This is a bundle of what you people call organic and inorganic compounds. Now, Appa is talking chemistry, and I don't know chemistry. So, anyway, he's saying the body is composed of organic and inorganic compounds. In ancient scriptures, they called it the five elements or the Panchabhutas. So, what are these five elements? Earth, water, fire, space, and air. So, again, we must understand that when we are talking about the five elements, we are not talking about the elements as we see and perceive in the created world. We are not talking about the fire that we can see or that burns. We are talking about the five primordial elements that created this universe, the five primordial elements that are in the human body. So each chakra, and we will come to that later, is connected to one of the primordial elements. So we'll go to that later. Your material body is constituted by your father and mother. So we do need a human father and mother to create this material body. The two anus coming from the parent form the beginning of a body. So he's talking about the atoms, anus. So the two atoms coming together by the father and the mother has started the beginning of this body that you now see as one person or another person. By taking food, air, and other material substances, the body increases in size. So he's now talking about the growth of a human being. So how many times have we even considered this whole idea? How, growth happens, how this body develops. Then he says, the next question is whether this material can function. This is where the term energy comes from. So now that we have a body, can that body function? So that is where energy comes. So this is what we perceive and call as life. That energy that gives us the ability to move, to talk, to express, it's called life. We call it as life, but it's all energy. Death means withdrawal of all these energies, but the soul remains. It doesn't die. It remains, just that the energies are withdrawn, and this body, which is no longer of use, which is like an old car model which we discard, just disintegrates. But the soul continues. So you do not die, the body dies. So that's another layer that we can understand as spiritual aspirants. So what are energies? Appa says, the energy to live comes from different sources: food, air, water, and cosmic energy. So we are all aware of the fact that we all need food, water, and air. But do we know that, and our brother Ramchandran will know because he is the pranic healer, cosmic energy is an important part of a life. If we think that just food, water, and air can give a dead person a body life, then why can't we then revive a dead body? Because we can't, because the cosmic energy has been withdrawn. The vital force has been withdrawn. You can put air into the dead body, you can give food, you can put water in, but nothing happens because that energy which makes all these things function within the body is gone. Now, an interaction of this energy with the materials of the body results in the first auric body. In your language, you call it the etheric body. The changes in the etheric body can tell you the changes taking place in the gross body. In short, the etheric body clothes the gross body like the clothing you wear. This means the gross body and the etheric body are intimately connected. Now, Appa is talking about a second layer of our body, which is called the etheric body. And we also call it the auric body. So here again, these are principles that Brother Ramachandran will very clearly understand, but I'll try to explain. So here Appa says, the body is not just that, there is something more to it, and that is the auric side of the body. That is what we know as the subtle body. We cannot see it, but we know it's part of us. And that's why when somebody loses their leg, they still feel like they have a leg, because it is the the etheric body is still there. The auric body still gives the mind the idea that it is there. So it takes a little wrapping your head around it, but you must understand that the body is not just made of the physical composition of the organic and inorganic compounds. It's also made of the auric body. That is why you talk to clairvoyants, they'll say, I can see your aura. So when a person looks at somebody's aura, they can see different colors. A brown aura will show disease or some disease, or what we call bad energy in that area that causes the problem. So when pranic healers actually heal people, they draw the cosmic energy and heal this too. They're not only healing the physical body, they're healing through the auric body, reaching the energy, it's like a laser beam. What they do as laser surgery, that's what they're doing in pranic healing. They're directing healing energy to the areas that are diseased or have negative energy. So that is what Appa is talking about here. And he says these are intimately connected. And then he continues to say, and this is higher level of knowledge, which even I don't understand very well, but let us see what he says. You will be surprised if I tell you that every cell in your body is surrounded by energy. The sum total of all the energies of the cells of the body projected as the energy body or the etheric body tells you how the organs are working. So that is at a higher level, a healer is able to see these things. He's able to see the energy field, and he's able to perceive how a particular organ is affected. And one of the reasons why, I used to wonder why Paramahamsa Yogananda used to say, always do your energization exercises outside the house, open to the elements. And I used to wonder why. And that is because of the energy. We need, the body not only needs the air, water, and all that, it also needs the rays of the sun. It needs the cosmic energy, which is much more purer outside. Nowadays, everything is little polluted, but it is much purer outside, closer to the plants, because the plants have energy. The trees are continuously emitting energy. So that is why also we have talked about earlier, people go and hug trees because trees have energy that can be used to strengthen us. Like somebody was telling me recently, I have this thing which is made of oak, but I feel it's giving me energy, because he's feeling that energy coming through that object. And so that's one of the reasons why I always say, be careful about what you bring into the house. Everything has energy. Be very careful, because sometimes when you bring something that belongs to somebody else, especially stuff like jewelry, and it has been owned by somebody with negative energy, that negative energy can affect you. So always be careful about energy. Then Appa says, know that in healing, you can go up to the cell level and instruct the cell to behave, to adjust, to balance itself with other cells. So a good healer has the ability to talk to the cells and tissues. That is one aspect of the etheric body. So in modern science, we basically, deal only with the organic body, right? But real healing happens when both the etheric and the organic body are simultaneously healed. And that is what pranic healers, those who practice Reiki, are able to do. They're able to. That is what Ramachandran was able to do, Brother Ramachandran, when he said, he told the kidney stones in me to disintegrate. And they disintegrated and they dissolved. I didn't even feel that after that. The second main body is the astral body. Its existence can be felt even by an ordinary person. It connects the outside world with the brain. You know what a brain is and know that it belongs to the gross body. It is formed of matter. The brain can be felt, seen, and touched. I ask you, what is mind? Can you feel or touch it? That is abstract. So Appa is now talking about, we talked about the gross and etheric body, which are closely intertwined. Then we have the astral body. And that is the one vehicle we use without knowing, and most of us are doing it, when we go to sleep, we actually leave our physical and etheric body and go into the astral level. And that is how many of us bring back some vague memories of a dream, of visiting a place you've never been to, of interacting with people you've never been to, have never known, right? So that is the astral body. So Appa's talking about that. And then he says, so understand the difference. The brain, that belongs, it's an organic thing. It can be touched, you can feel it, you can see it. But the mind, can you see it? You can feel it? No, you're not, because it is not the part of the body. It's not mind is not a compound that can be treated. So in psychology, in the healing people who are mentally disturbed, counseling helps more. What happens when medicines is given is it numbs certain parts of the brain, dulls the person, but it doesn't cure the disease. So we'll continue. We have an astral body. There is no limitation in space for the astral body. Some of you may have experienced what we call out-of-the-body experiences, such as visiting some other country, talking to an unknown person, jerking while sleeping. These are indications of the existence of the astral body. Why does the jerk happen? The jerk happens when the astral body gets back into the physical body. It is always connected. There's a silver cord that connects all these bodies, and when we travel and we come back, there's the jerk. And that's why you suddenly wake up with a big jerk when you're sleeping. If one tries to separate the gross body and the etheric body, his astral body can travel to any place. And that is something the Siddhas are very, very conversant with. They are able to use their astral body and travel anywhere. And that's why we talk about astral travel. So let's continue. The astral body also has a mental body which feeds experiences to the brain. So how do we understand this? So we see something through our senses, and that tells us the brain something, and we feel or act accordingly. But then we don't see something. Say, for example, you meet somebody, and immediately there is the feeling of, I don't like the person, there's something negative. That's the astral body communicating. Because even before your physical body and the other person's physical body are close together and you're interacting, the astral body is already communicating with the other astral body. And that is why when you see somebody and you not too happy, or when you see somebody and you are very happy and you feel connected, or when you say, I sense something in you, even though the person is smiling and talking, they'll say, I sense that you're upset. That is our astral body communicating and understanding the energy that our physical body does not. The third is the causal body, or the Karana Sharira. This is the one which is in close contact with the Atman, or the soul. So Appa says all good karmas is accumulated in the causal body and transmitted to the next incarnation. So it is the causal body which carries everything, all the seeds. And when it manifests in another body, then it starts expressing what it has based on, remember the analogy Appa gave us a long time back? So, seeds are thrown on a field, but when there's the right time, then there's water, there's sunshine and the soil is good, then it germinates. That is how our karmas germinate in our life. So we carry a karma, but we cannot, get rid of all a karma in one lifetime, because there's so much we have accumulated. So when we face circumstances where it is conducive for that karma to come out, whether it's good or bad, that's when it germinates, and that's when you see the effect of it. That is why a very good person in this life will be saying, oh, what did I do? Why am I going through all this? It's not because somebody else did something to you, because it's your own karma that you brought back from your previous actions. And then he says, I can also tell you something more. If you develop the faculty of evoking the causal body, you can get connected to higher mental faculties. In the case of my disciple, who's Gajaraj Swamigal here, this is what has happened. He gets connected to higher knowledge. So again, knowledge is prevalent. It's everywhere. The knowledge of Parabrahma is everywhere. And Appa says, no knowledge is new. That is why we discover things that is already there in knowledge, in terms of knowledge. That is why what Buddha said is similar to what Christ said, to what Allah, Muhammad said, or what I'm thinking, someone else is thinking. It's all the same. When we reach a certain level, then we start beginning to connect to that frequency, and the knowledge is the same. It is no different just because you're born in America or in India or in Japan. It's all the same. It's just the way we understand and express it. That's the only thing that differs. And Appa says, in case a person is more spiritually advanced, and that happens as you continue in your sadhana, then you are able to connect to higher frequencies, and then you're able to connect to higher knowledge. So what happens in terms of scientists? Let's take a simple example. They're constantly focused on something, right? On a problem, a mathematician or a scientist. So when they are so focused, when all that energy is focused, that is connecting to the knowledge that is already there, which is the answer. And that is how they get the solutions. In the same way, as spiritual aspirants, if we can focus our energy like a laser with intensity, we can get connected to higher knowledge. And we all do that to some extent. And especially in the Agastya consciousness group, that's very, very normal that I'm saying something, somebody else is saying something, and we're both saying the exact same words, or it's the exact same idea at the same time, and my message goes across and another person's message comes, and we're like, oh, we both said the same thing. It's our energy is interacting already. Even before we are talking and expressing, our minds are connecting, interacting, we're drawing from that same energy, and we are already understanding each other. So in the course of time, because of the purity of the person and the grace of his guru, he can tap the inner secrets of knowledge. And that is what happened with Gajaraj Swamigal. Because of his purity, because of his sadhana and his connection to Guru Agastya and Guru Agastya's grace, he was able to receive and give the Valipadu to the world. And that is something that every one of us can do. Each of us have the capacity. None of us are any different because we are all souls. We all have that capacity. It's just that we don't realize it. That is why in spiritual circles, we talk about understanding all this as realization. It's not about reaching some place. It's about realizing something. That is what we all need to know. So we are running out of time. So we will have to end this now, and we'll continue next week, and we'll continue on the same topic.